Hello, lovelies. I am here today to share this embarrassment of riches of tarot that has entered my life in just a few short weeks. It's actually, I use the word embarrassment advisedly. It is kind of astonishing and embarrassing how many decks I've acquired in a very, very short while. And I'll tell you what happened, which is I discovered the tarot trading threads. I knew about them, but I kind of discovered them for real the past few weeks. I listed a bunch of decks that I either had multiple copies of or was looking for new homes for, just was not in love with, and tremendous response from this wonderful tarot community. And then also a few people who were selling decks were clearing out their collections, and the prices were just too astonishing. So the only decks that I bought outright here from other sources were these two Spanish tarot decks. This is a, you can see some, there's my Nigel Jackson, my Kitty Cahain. Okay, I moved stuff off of my bureau to be able to show this. Anyway, so a little cameo. Hello, guys. The Spanish tarot here. So Kasha Tarot Map, I adore you. You have beautiful, beautiful cards, and you're an amazing woman. And someday I will meet you in person. So Kasha's video on the Spanish tarot had me instantly turning to the internets to find my own copy. This is the 1970s Spanish Fournier edition, and this box is a little beat to crap, but the cards inside are sealed. So I'm going to actually unseal them, even though, a real collector wouldn't do that, but to hell with it, I'm not real. And then I also picked up, and this was sealed, I already unsealed it, but this is I think probably late 80s, not entirely sure when Stuart Kaplan was distributing this deck. Fournier still distributes, I think, the Spanish tarot. You can still get copies pretty easily. This Stuart Kaplan seems like it's slightly different. I don't know. I'm going to have to unseal this to compare the colors. It's also a Fournier deck, but Kaplan distributed it with a chunky white booklet. So it's not really it's a chunky little white book. So we'll look at that in a moment. And in here, in this pouch, which I printed through Printer Studio, their prices have gone up, by the way, which is kind of a drag, but is a mini version, really cute mini version of the Grimaud Tarot de Marseille. So we'll take a look at that too later. This is the Slow Holler. Can't wait to dive into the Tarot of Delphi. A Noble, which is, I think, right now, maybe my absolute favorite Tarot de Marseille. I'm working with Jean-Michel David's reading the Tarot of Marseille, and that's been really cool. The Golden Thread, that's the plastic version. A sealed Barbara Walker Tarot, which I can't wait to, I think I'm just going to have to open it. I can't decide yet, though. The German version of the Peterson Tarot. My German is, adequate, but I think, these cards are so beautiful. I think I'm going to still be looking for the two-piece English version, the two-piece box version, partly so I can compare it with the gray borders, and partly to have a handy translation of the book. An Albano weight, which is actually, the cards are in beautiful condition. Bev, Bodhi Seed is her handle on Aeclectic Forum. What an amazing woman you are. Again, someone I really hope I get to meet in person, but she traded me this mini Albano weight. This is the US Games version, and then included this beautiful mid-1950s Pauper Press bound copy of Japanese haiku. And then another beautiful tarot person trading me for my hoi polloi, trading me the Samhain Deck of the Bastard, which she had partially edged. She wasn't happy with her edging. I think her edging is great, and I'm finishing it up. She also included the distress ink that she used to edge it, so, I'll show that off at some point. And I purchased from an Eclectic Forum person the wooden tarot what a weird deck. Can I it's beautiful, and I'm not at all sure that it is readable. But anyway, can't wait to dive into that. So let me stop this. Oh, and then one last thing. So this is the Carroll Publishing version of the university books. Pink ink, Rider Waite, and I'm not exactly sure what the dating is for this. Probably 1970s. Anyway, the cards are in lovely condition. I had traded away basically the same copy of this deck, and then someone was selling it on Aeclectic Forum. So I traded it away, and then I think a few days later I was able to purchase it back. So, you know, sometimes decks just say, you know, you're not getting rid of me so easily. Okay, so, I mean, it's just insane. This is my tarot haul. This is like way too many decks to integrate into my brain. So they're going to be sitting out and taunting me with their glory for the next few months. Okay, but let's take a look at some of them up close and personal. Okay, let's start with my little Grimaud mini Tarot de Marseille. Here in this pouch that I made through the printer studio with the Visconti Sforza star. And actually, the star's been flipped, basically to sort of not be cut off by the zipper. Anyway, so I love my little pouch, and I love me my little deck. It's really adorable. You know, actually I didn't buy this through or trade this through the forum. I got this on Amazon. I don't know if these are still in print, but they're really actually quite cheap to get from European distributors shipping over the States. So this was, I can't remember exactly how much it cost, but it was under 20 to get this shipped all the way from France. My idea with getting this sweet little baby was that I wanted to have a Tarot de Marseille that I wasn't in love with, that wasn't one of my beautiful Fleur Noirs, but that would, that I could just pop into my bag and take with me, and so that I could really at every moment of my day whip out my Tarot de Marseille and study. So that was my goal. And I didn't want to do the Lo Scarabeo mini, which the images with the titles, it looks really cluttered. I might end up having to try to track down a Jodorowsky mini, and if any of you know a good source for a Jodorowsky mini where it won't be too freaking expensive, let me know. But anyway, I got this, and I don't think my journey is over. My search is over. The search for the Holy Grail continues because I just don't love this deck. It might be that it's actually too many, that the width is a problem. The cardstock's okay. It's beefy. It's very laminated. It feels substantial. But the reason I don't love it is the primary colors. And it's not even that I don't love the primary colors, which I don't love them, but that's not so much the problem. Although, you know, when I see a kind of red, white, and blue chariot, that makes me a little queasy. But it's really what happens with the detail. And let me flip ahead here to the star. And this is another Lululemon devil. So the leggings on the devil. It's really interesting to me what the source is of that. I mean, you can kind of see genitals, but let's see. Oh, I can't get that in focus. Anyway, it's interesting. I talked about the Lululemon devil in the Angel Tarot, but anyway. Okay, so you see it a little bit here on the star card with the water, it being really hard to distinguish the blues of the water from the water coming from the bases, but actually it's really in the moon card, which is, I'm not one of these people who says I have to like what a deck does with a certain image, but the moon, I mean, I'm a Cancer. You know, the moon is really important to me, and the relationship of like the unconscious and intuition and the difference between illusion and truth, and the ways in which delusion can become enlightenment. So, you know, having that crawfish lost like that in the detail bums me out. Anyway, but you know, there's some, like, I kind of like the Judgment. You know, it's not, I mean, it's a sweet little deck. So that's my Grimaud. I'm still in the search, in the market for a mini, really travel, not too expensive Tarot de Marseille that I can carry with me in my bag and not worry if it gets completely destroyed. Because no way I'm going to take my Noble or my Dodal with me in my bag, because I love those decks and they're beautiful. Okay, so that's that. The other thing I wanted to show off was my Spanish tarot. This was not a very expensive deck. I think Kasia said that she spent, I don't know, something like 12 euros to get it shipped to her and the whole thing, or whatever. It was like incredible, or 9 euros for the, 9 euros plus 10 euros of shipping. It was really cheap. This ended up costing me probably, to get it to me, about $25 total for the deck and the shipping, or maybe like 28, something like that. And the box is a mess. I mean, it's okay. It's not terrible. It's got some stains and some bends, but the deck itself is sealed. And, you never know if this is the deck that went with this box, but I think I decided that it probably was, because the insert that comes with this early Fournier edition from the mid-70s, the insert is a single sheet that's been folded, and this insert is pristine. I mean, it's a little bit colored, with age. It's a little bit aged, but it looks like it's not been handled at all. So I figured, from the image on the website, I figured that it was probably a safe bet to think that this deck was the original. In which case, having a sealed time warp 1970s version of this deck is pretty amazing. But I also wanted to be able to have a backup. Are we just being neurotic when we have multiple copies of the same deck? But I want to back up, and I also want to see if the US Games later distribution of this was different in any way. So I haven't done any exhaustive research at all. I haven't even done any non-exhaustive research. Is that upside down? Yes. But it seems to me like US Games distributed the Fournier version of this deck for a period. At the same time, so this is the Fournier edition. That's really clear from the insert, but it's in a US Games box and has a US Games booklet. It looks like it's got the same cardstock as the edition that comes in the two-part box from the 70s. The evidence of the little white book, which is actually kind of a chunky white book, is not very helpful, because it says copyright 1975, which seems to be the same date as the Fournier edition that's made in Spain. And yeah, I mean, there's an ISBN and a barcode, so this has to be, I mean, this is probably sometime in the 80s, I would guess, and maybe even the 90s. Actually, with the barcode, probably in the 90s. This is probably an early 90s edition, but I don't know. And if anyone knows more, please let me know. Okay, so here's this deck. Oh, I'm sort of scared to open the whole thing. And I'm just not sure if the light here is going to show, but it seems to me, yeah, the light really can't. So the coloring, it looks like there's a slight, yeah, it's very subtle, a slight difference in coloring. In some light, it looks to me like the Fournier is a shade darker and maybe a shade more, a little bit more green, but it's hard to tell. The thickness of the two decks suggests to me that the cardstock is slightly thicker in the Fournier. You can sort of in the older Fournier. Okay, so here goes. Let's see. I'm going to now unseal this version of it. Oh, mama. Okay, here goes. Here goes nothing. And my goal here is really to compare cardstock and coloring of these two versions of the deck, and to get a sense if things shifted when US Games started to distribute. And yes, the cardstock is definitely thicker in the older version. Let's look at some of the cards. Okay, so in my right hand is the older and my left hand is the US Games, and I don't know that you're going to be able to see what I see, which is, you know, actually, I don't know that there's a difference in the coloring. I really don't. So let me just quickly flip through and see. Yeah, no, the cardstock is definitely different, but it might be, yeah, the faces are slightly more orange in the newer version. Yeah, you can definitely see that. I would say the newer version, actually, as I'm looking at the newer version, oh, yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. I would say that the cream coloring of this is the older version, the made in Spain. I think they're both made in Spain, but the older version of it. I would say that the cream is a slightly less gray cream. So this is the older one. This is the newer one. And my lighting won't show you. Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. It's pretty subtle. The main difference that I'm seeing is, which does come across pretty clearly, I think, for you guys, is that the faces are a little bit less orange in the older version. Yeah, you can see it a lot in the Chariot, and the cardstock is really nice. So this, you know, this newer, the Stuart Kaplan edition, the newer one is not too shabby, but the cardstock, the feel of it, it's beefy and it's matte. It's less slick. Yeah. Oh my God, I love this strength card. Oh, that is just beautiful. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I knew I would, I love this deck. Oh, I love this deck. So, yeah, what can I say? I don't see a huge difference with coloring, folks. And what you might notice is the borders of the image are hand drawn, so they're sort of slightly uneven. By the way, my truly vintage one, this just popped out. I don't know what this is, if this is like a quality control thing. It just popped out in between the Hanged Man and Death. Oh, I love that devil. Oh my God. It's like the nipples are sun and moon. maybe, and the face and the belly and the eyes in the knees. Oh my God. Oh, I just adore this. The tower. So here's this really interesting thing about the tower. That kind of, yeah, what the heck is that? Is that, well, you don't even know what I'm talking about. So, you know, that frond, is that, you know, is that laurel? Is that related to victory? I wonder if Stuart Kaplan says anything. I wonder if I can read the Spanish. I don't read Spanish. I read Italian and French, and I'm not fluent, but okay. But sometimes I can fake it. Oh, it doesn't give a description. It just says, you know, subordination, ruin, malevolence, etc. A supernatural experience, violence, shock. So it doesn't give a description of it. I wonder if the Stuart Kaplan little white book, chunky white book, where is it? I have, oh, sorry folks. Well, I'll see if I can find out anything about that, but what the heck? Wow. Okay. Oh my God. This deck is so beautiful. Okay, oh, look at this moon. So Kasha did a full flip through of this deck, and what I have is essentially the same deck as hers. Oh, here we go. I found the Stuart Kaplan thing, so I'm just going to look up really quickly. And why this is such a chunky little white book is because it's in English and Spanish, both. So let me look up, see if there's a description of the tower. A tall tower with a crowned roof appears to have been struck violently by a tree rather than by lightning, the more common depiction in tarot packs. The card is variously called the lightning-struck tower, the house of God, the hospital, fire of heaven, or the Tower of Babel. Okay, so what Stuart Kaplan, he's saying, you know, presumably, but it's been struck by a tree. But to me, it's really hard not to see this crown and this as a reference to the laurel of victory in the Ace of Swords. Well, in this deck, it doesn't look so much like that. But there's, I mean, yeah, in this deck, that doesn't so much look like, I'm looking at the, you know, whether that's laurel or myrtle or I don't even know what the vegetation is in the, on the left side of the crown. But it's really interesting, isn't it? Anyway, I am in love. This deck, the coloring and the feel of the box version is amazing. So this box version of this deck, Kasha pointed me toward a website, a Spanish purchasing website. When I tried to find a copy of this deck, just in American sources or through Abe Books, of this one, of the two-piece 70s version, it was a little bit hard to find for anything less than like $50. So, you know, with international shipping, these are really seem to be quite common and commonly available in Spain. So I encourage you to check out that site, and I'll try to remember to put the link to it below. Okay, I am droning on and on. I think that this video, maybe I should just stop here, and then I might show some of my other goodies in other videos. I don't know. I'm having a little bit of camera trouble today, so we'll see. But anyway, much love to you all.